All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going on a bit of an investigative treasure hunt today to uncover the hidden blueprints and secret histories tucked away just beneath the surface of our everyday lives. We walk past these massive landmarks, we ride the transit systems, we stare at famous art, but we rarely stop to think about where they actually came from. Their true origins are literally invisible to the naked eye. So today, we're going to decode those secrets together.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. Tesla's hidden mental lab. 2. Decoding subway colors. 3. The mother of exiles. 4. Plundered antiquities. And 5. The forgotten cloud club. Basically, we're zooming all the way out from the invisible architecture of a genius inventor's mind right up to the locked doors of New York City's highest skyline. We'll decode subway walls, unravel the true meaning of famous monuments, and even peek into a forgotten sanctuary in the clouds.
Starting off with Section 1, Tesla's hidden mental laboratory.
So, Nikola Tesla absolutely hated the standard trial and error method. To him, building a clunky physical model just to test an idea, total waste of time and money. Instead, he used this incredibly rigid mental prototyping process. He'd conjure up an invention in his imagination, mentally rotate it in 3D, and actually run the device right there in his head. No, really, he claimed he could turn on a mental turbine, let it run, and literally see where the metal parts would wear down from friction over time, all before ever cutting a single piece of wire.
And you can see the stark difference when you compare him to Thomas Edison. Edison's direct current, or DC, lost a ton of energy over distance. It literally required a power plant almost every single square mile. On the flip side, Tesla's alternating current, AC, could travel massive distances. But here's the catch. The scientific consensus at the time said an AC motor was just a physical impossibility. Well, Tesla cracked that impossible puzzle entirely in his mind. He conceptualized the rotating magnetic field, and that specific breakthrough is exactly what made alternating current the dominant global power system we still use today.
Now, Tesla's invisible forces obviously changed the world, but you might be wondering, where exactly did he bring this brilliant mental blueprint into reality? Like, where is the actual physical birthplace of this modern marvel?
Well, one of the most significant inventions of the entire electrical age was built right in Lower Manhattan, specifically 89 Liberty Street. Back in the 1880s, his investors rented him a tiny room on the second floor, right above a noisy printing press. And today, that building is completely gone. It was replaced by a skyscraper sitting right across from Zuccotti Park. Thousands of people walk past it every single day, completely oblivious that they're stepping right over the birthplace of the modern electric grid. Pretty wild, right?
Moving right along to Section 2, Decoding NYC subway colors. To really understand the hidden logic right beneath our feet, like the designs on the walls while you're waiting for a train, we've got to look at this somewhat messy timeline. Originally, New York had competing subway companies, the IRT and the BMT, and they used highly ornate, super expensive mosaics. But look at 1932. That is when the city-owned IND line opens up. Because it was built right in the middle of the Great Depression, the city absolutely could not afford fancy terracotta ornamentation. They needed a solution that was utilitarian, clean, and above all, cheap. Enter an architect named Squire Vickers. He designed this seriously ingenious tile system for the NID line, so passengers could navigate without even reading the signs. The tile colors on those station walls definitely aren't random, they follow a strict visual code. At an express stop, the tile band changes to a dark primary color. Think dark blue or dark green. Then the local stops immediately following it use a lighter pastel shade of that exact same color. It was set up so that just a simple shift in color would silently tell you exactly where you could switch from local to express trains. Just a brilliant piece of hidden wayfinding. All right, Section 3, the mother of exiles.
Let's travel from the subway tunnels out to the harbor. There is a massive gap between the Statue of Liberty's original intent and what it means to us today. Back in 1865, a French professor named Edouard Le Bouillet proposed this monument to celebrate the end of American slavery and the ideals of liberal republicanism. And here's the crazy part. There was absolutely zero mention of immigration or offering sanctuary in the original French blueprint. None.
But the narrative completely flipped, thanks to a poet named Emma Lazarus. She was trying to raise funds for the statue's pedestal, and she was deeply moved by refugees fleeing persecution in Eastern Europe. So she wrote the famous poem, The New Colossus. You've probably heard it. Her words literally redefined this giant bronze statue from a symbol of French republicanism into the ultimate mother of exiles, a beacon welcoming the world's destitute.
However, to look at this impartially, we have to acknowledge that Lazarus faced some fierce nativist opposition at the time. As the country's demographics were shifting, many people saw the influx of immigrants not as an opportunity, but as a genuine threat. This sentiment is perfectly captured by poet Thomas Bailey Aldrich. He looked at those unguarded gates with serious alarm, advocating for exclusion instead. It just shows how public monuments often act like a blank canvas for the competing political arguments of their era.
Okay, Section 4. Plundered Antiquities and Art.
Let's head into the museum now and follow the frankly astonishing career of Luigi Cesnola. This guy was a Civil War veteran who leveraged his military record to become the U.S. consul to Cyprus in 1865. But instead of, actually focusing on diplomacy, Cesnola heavily abused his diplomatic immunity to become an amateur and highly prolific looter. He hoarded this massive stockpile of ancient artifacts, shipped them off the island, sold them to the newly formed Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and eventually used that exact collection to make himself the museum's very first director.
35,000. That is the staggering number of Cypriot antiquities Cesnola plundered and exported. 35,000 items. He totally bypassed customs officers, even hired local grave robbers to dig up sites with absolutely no archaeological record or documentation whatsoever. And he did it all to build the Met's early reputation and, of course, his own personal fortune.
This whole practice is perfectly summed up by the term Elginism. It's named after Lord Elgin, who famously removed the marbles from the Parthenon in Greece. It basically describes how 19th century museums were, well, often created by plunderers racing each other for national prestige. Artifacts were scrubbed, modified, and just completely ripped from their historical context. It really reminds us that the foundational blueprints of modern museums are built on a very complicated legacy of cultural imperialism.
So, we've explored the mind of an inventor, the underground transit lines, the harbor, and the museums. But if we look up at that towering Art Deco skyline, what mysteries are locked away thousands of feet above the streets?
Which brings us to Section 5, the Forgotten Cloud Club.
Talk about the ultimate insider space. Tucked away on the 66th through 68th floors of the Chrysler Building, the Cloud Club was originally built as a private dining room for Texaco executives. We're talking 300 elite, male-only members, a gorgeous Tudor-styled lounge, a barber shop, and get this, custom lockers specifically designed to hide their alcohol during Prohibition. But as corporate culture evolved over the decades, the club lost its shine. It closed down entirely by 1979 and sat there largely abandoned, just ravaged by time for decades.
Fast forward to today, and $40 is the projected cost for a proposed modern observation deck up there. Yep, recent reports indicate plans to actually revitalize those historic top floors. It really hints that these once exclusive, permanently locked doors might actually be opening up to the public again soon. They're transforming a completely forgotten relic into a brand new vantage point over the city.
So the key takeaway from our explainer today is that by simply looking past the surface, we become insiders to the unseen blueprints that literally built our world. Whether it's the invisible mental math that gave us the electric grid, the subtle shades of subway tiles guiding our daily commute, or the deeply complex, often contradictory origins of the art and monuments we see every day.
I'll leave you with this thought to chew on. Now that you know exactly how to look for these invisible designs of history, what other hidden histories are you unknowingly walking past every single day in your own neighborhood? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and remember to keep your eyes wide open.